for native for Likee TV. Ana babenya training news ekoso Ghana for nina. Eso se nendi dikana ba need no bo kwan so subscribe my se benya news bia no hye bia obenya notification of phones no wa be hye afin so betimi so ahye ama wadan for so nya bia hye. Yes me ngo amato. Yeah, Raphael, Raphael, that's it. In Kansas, in Agyapong, no, any Asenso Boakye. Interval dom on term 2 meters crime, just say, was he ban on us or more about coons a day. Just a police for our could in Tema, just or more attitude or Montema, yes, and get on our way training news, a training pan or a social media and so on. And yes, and get to me and Conning good things and my course a banner then come to piano up.
The delegates came in this morning ready to vote with their voters' ID cards and some voting identification. But the security personnel, very heavy security presence, are restricting some voters because they are requesting for accreditation, which the delegates are only hearing about. But only a select few delegates have accreditation. Now, the people who are upset are saying that they were camped here. As at 11 p.m. yesterday, they were here at the SktrikЄ, and nobody said anything about accreditation. So to come in this morning and we told that they cannot enter the voting premises because they don't have accreditation smells fishy. They do not know what's causing this problem. But to calm things down, some coordinators are saying that they were trying to print all the accreditation, but the lights were out, which is why they couldn't print for everyone. So the security is trying to calm tension outside the gate. And I must say, though, that nobody's saying anything. The security don't want to talk to us, and they don't want even to come into our cameras, because we know that Moses Abor petitioned the IGP concerning an alleged plot by Henry Porte to infiltrate the security personnel with his own people, hooligans and pugilists. So we are monitoring this. Right now, as we speak, there are lots of delegates outside who are restricted from entering the voting center because they do not have accreditation. And they're saying that they are still in the process of printing them, and so they should calm down. So far, everything inside the voting center, though, is calm. About 50 people have come in so far to vote, and the processes are going on smoothly, except those who have been restricted because they do not have accreditation.
Oh, and
I should add to Evans that even in the presidential primaries, accreditation was not an issue. They voted with their Ghana cards and other identification. So they are confused as to why this is coming up now.
So these delegates who are being prevented from casting their ballots, how significant are they, the numbers, from what you see?
I could count about 45 of them this morning, but right now we are inside the voting center, and the security are saying that they do not want to come into our camera, so we can't even turn and show you what is happening unless we go to the other side of outside the voting premises. But we'll send you footages and keep you updated.
Thank you very much, Sweetie Abochi there. Thank you very much for giving us that contest in Ayawaso Central, but that is a very interesting development in Ayawaso Central. Raymond, I want to stay with you on this very subject. As you know, Moses Abor had filed a complaint with the IGP, and it's interesting that he goes to the IGP also because he's aware that as Greater Accra Regional Minister, he's also the chair of the Regional Security Council, and so has some influence when it comes to the security apparatus in the region. And his complaint was that he was going to infiltrate the ranks of the police service and, cause some form of, chaos in the constituency that may in favor of the regional minister. And then we're hearing today that delegates show up and officers are asking them, show me your accreditation. That then begins to then feed into...
Delegates have been there since 11 p.m. on the same SktrikЄ field, awaiting the election. But when they started setting up, the understanding is that you should... But, we were given to understand that even if it's a national ID, some accreditation was allowed, except when there's agreement on both sides that, well, we know these people, and it should be very easy for you to work on the ground and know your delegates are wasted.
Yeah, Ramon, let me just read the guidelines from the NPP's panel. So, point 27 says, delegates are to carry their identification cards.
People here previously thought of deploying them.
Ramon, pause for a second, because I see on my screen, we're still in Banta showing what is happening there. And Agyapong is now at the scene. of the voting center, and you can see both of them in close proximity. I'm talking about Asenso and himself on your screens right now, still in some interactions with the police. This is extremely close proximity. This is like 2 meters between each other right now. They're standing with both of, Raph has his hands behind him. Asenso is simply just looking on whilst the queue is forming as voters go into the booth to cast their ballots. And the police officers are keen and watching. Now I see a police officer called both of them together. A police officer is in between both of them now, explaining something to them. We need to get clarity on what is happening here, because as I'm so watching now is to your right, Raph to your left, with a police officer in the middle, actively explaining something to them. You can see Raph now throwing his hands, almost exasperated at something. Asenso is on the phone, walking away, talking to somebody. This is unfolding there. We need to get clarity, and we'll get clarity for you as to what is happening. Nanaya, thankfully, is back. Is back now to give us clarity. Nanaya, what is happening? What is it that we are watching on your screens? Why is the police officers trying to intervene and explain to them what's happening?
Evans.
I can hear you, yes.
Can you please repeat your question?
Yes, I mean, what's happening there? We see on our screens that the two protagonists are on the ground right now. There seem to be some disagreements of some issue that each of them isn't happy about, that the police officers have been trying to mediate and give them some clarity. What's happening?
So not long ago, both of them came into the inner perimeter after one bus carrying a lot of these delegates came in here, and these delegates were all marched into the inner perimeter. These are the people you see in your shot. They are in their queue and trying to ensure that they go through the process before they cast their ballot. Both aspirants are on the ground. They are following each other. Wherever the one goes, there's the other following him. As you can see now, the police is putting them at one stationed point. They want them stationed at one point so that the delegates can go through the process freely. They've not spoken to each other. I attempted to speak to Mr. Ralph Agyapong earlier. Well, immediately I got to this grounds, he was here and he was telling me that he was alleging that Mr. Asenso Boakye was camping some of the delegates. I tried to get him on record, but unfortunately he refused to speak to me. According to him, the time will come for him to do that. And Mr. Asenso Boakye came here, went through the process and cast his ballot. I tried speaking to him as well, and he told me that it's not time for him to speak. When the time is due, he will do that. They are both here trying to observe what is happening. It's a heated environment. Even though there are no conversations, there are no noise being made by anybody, you can feel that there is tension within the environment.
And you've said that what we watch unfold on our screens is because a bus came to the voting center, and the people that we see on our screens queuing to vote all came out of this bus?
Exactly. It was one of these Metro Mass Transit buses, and we have all these recorded on camera. We'll play that back later for our viewers to see how they came in. And immediately they came in, they were all marched into the premises to form the queues and cast their ballots. So it gives a sense that some of them were waiting somewhere and waiting to be transported to this area.
And do we know who brought them there? Who facilitated this? Paid for a bus, put them in, drove them to the site, marched them to go and vote?
As at now, it is unknown. I'm trying to ask around and get that information. But as I speak to you now, I've not been able to get any of the delegates divulge such information to me. But I'm sure that in a few minutes' time, we will get the information and also put it out to our viewers. But as I speak to you now, it is unknown who hired this bus, who rented it and paid for it and transported all these delegates into the premises for them to cast their ballots.
And if you're watching this on your screens, you see this is a long queue. Wasted. A long queue. This bus was packed with delegates.
And so you ask. I started by asking that question. I would want to see numbers that show up at the center post the devotion. And so who's bringing these persons? Who's bringing these persons? Is it Rapheal Agyapong? Is it, Francis Asenso Boakye? You want to know. And is it also the case that the party, no, if the party wants, the party would probably come from various
the party would have
brought them from electoral areas. By now, they should be there already. This is Banta. It's an area that it's not as if somebody's going to travel from afar to get in there. So for people to be bussed and brought there, it's problematic.
Yeah, and we'll be joined by the Director of Elections because we need to get clarity on whether the party's rules allow this to happen. Did the delegates pay for them? Did this bus themselves? Maybe they came together, they all live in one place and said, let's get... But here's the thing, that the curious thing about this is a constituency election.
Yeah.
So we all live within a few,
and it's not like
a huge, it's not like Dom Kwabenya.
Yeah.
You know what I mean in terms of the geographical area involved. So to think that the delegates in this constituency feel they need to converge and be transported to the voting center raises a lot of questions that the party will have to answer, and we'll get some clarity for you about the rules. Stay with me. I just wanted to acknowledge our sponsors because they are making this possible, and they are Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity, and they bring us the election headquarters, and we've been able to bring to you this fascinating coverage. So far, it's been pretty eventful. Yeah. In the last hour or so, Petrosol is making that possible. Raymond, your comment on that?
I would have disputed your claim if we were still during the time where Kwadaso and Ishaeso were under Bantama. But in all fairness, if you take the main street of Bantama, you can basically traverse 80% of the constituency through that particular end, which should be easy for that to happen. But I'm also not disputing the fact that the party can take a decision that all of you in this electoral area should meet here, take the bus, and go and vote.
That's highly unlikely, I think. But
even the party can sanction that candidates can actually put buses there for people to go and vote. I think the campaign theory has been bastardized and loopholes exploited. It has been, first, it was, let's put them in a hotel because they are coming from afar. Then somebody pays for it. Secondly, people do birthday parties. Remember, some time ago, people did their birthday party the day, even though they were not born on that day. They did their birthday party the day before the election, and right from the hotel, you go straight to go and vote. Now, the newest addition is that let's go and do some
morning
devotion. How many people, serious politicians, go to morning devotion the morning of their election?
But they are religious.
No. Think about it deeply.
You do nothing without God's opening the door for you.
Against you, and you are rather going to vote early, going to pray about.
Oh, but that's why when you're going to a battle, you pray.
No. If you're going, see, this is
we know that
strategy to camp.
Yes. Unless we want to pretend about it. Yeah.
Politicians will do a lot of things. The bit about the busing, where I think it would be highly unlikely that a party would do that, is that, and any of the candidates would actually flag that and said,
for any DC, as a police officer, and a separate or my yasam kito, spirit no woman yasam kito, just as no zi ben 2 meters grandro. Ben obie muno bianca sakasa no just say yasam kito, election grounds or a bantam yasam kito, just say police for any bem no separate mokaka, in good community or mobile because no be muna mobile Bia casting vote no Bianca so be a young corner yes or more a election grounds so be adjusted. I just say bus be metro transit back of fire delegate be baba just say or more you should say why candidates ben a coffers a delegate be a bus your macambi or munina and your mobile a year election grounds or more shame. If we need information about to your semi for Pamas and Mamtis and Newz. Immediately, Samonia, Chicago for adventure and about comments that shall finish with him so I say, I'm more down for Sonia Biashi. So, can I need no book and so, yeah, the Wibia so by